There is a saying, quiet, cryptic, and easily overlooked, that has echoed through nearly 2,000 years of spiritual history. It comes from the Gospel of Thomas, that mysterious collection of Jesus's sayings discovered in the sands of Nag Hammadi. And in it, a single line disrupts everything we think we know about heaven, enlightenment, and the true nature of reality. The kingdom is spread upon the earth, but men do not see it. What does that mean? How can something as divine as a kingdom of heaven be spread upon the earth? And why, if it's already here, do we fail to perceive it? Tonight, we're venturing into one of the most profound, mind-bending teachings attributed to Jesus. One that challenges the conventional idea that heaven is somewhere out there, waiting for us after death. Instead, this saying hints at a hidden dimension woven into the fabric of our daily lives, something we pass through constantly, yet remain blind to. But this isn't just theology or history. This is a doorway, one that opens into an ancient mystical understanding shared by Gnostics, Essenes, early desert mystics, and spiritual seekers across forgotten civilizations. A truth that can radically shift how you see the world, how you see yourself, and how you live from this moment forward. In this video, we will journey far beyond the surface. We will explore the lost context behind saying 113, the esoteric lens through which ancient initiates understood the kingdom, and why this knowledge was obscured, or perhaps protected, through the centuries. We'll peel back layers of metaphor and symbolism to reveal what spread upon the earth truly meant, and how it might still be shaping your consciousness without you realizing it. By the end of this exploration, you may never look at reality the same way again. So take a breath, slow down, and prepare yourself. Because the kingdom isn't coming, it isn't elsewhere, and it isn't hidden in the way you think. It's here, right now, everywhere, waiting for you to finally see it. To understand the weight of the saying, the kingdom is spread upon the earth, we have to step back, far back, into a world where spiritual knowledge wasn't merely preached from pulpits, but transmitted in hushed tones, encoded in symbols, and guarded by those who understood that truth, in the wrong hands, can become a weapon. The Gospel of Thomas, where saying 113 is found, isn't a narrative gospel. It contains no miracles, no stories, no chronology. Instead, it presents 114 raw sayings, almost like puzzle pieces that demand contemplation. Scholars believe these sayings preserve a far older, more mystical tradition, one rooted in oral teachings that circulated before the canonical Gospels were ever written. This wasn't a text meant for casual readers. It was a manual for initiates. In the early centuries of the Common Era, the spiritual landscape of the Mediterranean world was incredibly diverse. The teachings attributed to Jesus traveled through communities shaped by Jewish mysticism, Greek philosophy, Egyptian ritual knowledge, and ancient Near Eastern cosmology. Within this mix, certain groups, later labeled Gnostics, saw the message of Jesus not merely as moral instruction, but as a map of consciousness, a guide to inner awakening. For these mystics, heaven was not a distant location, but a state of perception, an ability to see the divine pattern that permeates all existence. The idea that the kingdom is already present appears not only in Thomas, but in fragments of early Jewish mysticism, the teachings of the Essenes, and even certain Hermetic writings from Egypt over and over. We see the same theme. The sacred is not separate from the world. It is the world seen through awakened eyes. But as Christianity developed into a structured religion, the esoteric reading began to fade. The emerging church emphasized doctrine, hierarchy, and an afterlife-based understanding of salvation. The mystical, experiential dimension, this notion that enlightenment was accessible now, became unsettling for institutions that depended on spiritual mediation. Teachings suggesting that divine presence is immediate, internal, and universally accessible were gradually sidelined or branded heretical. And so, texts like the Gospel of Thomas were buried, literally. When the Nag Hammadi Library was discovered in 1945 by Egyptian farmers, it was as though the desert itself exhaled secrets long withheld. The sand had protected these writings for more than 1,500 years. Writings that revealed a radically different flavor of early spirituality. One centered on direct experience, inner transformation, and the discovery of the divine within everyday reality. Saying 113 is one of the clearest examples of this hidden tradition. It tells us that we are not waiting for a cosmic event, a savior descending from the clouds, or a future world to unfold. Instead, the kingdom, whatever it is, already permeates everything around us. But what exactly is this kingdom? Why can't we see it? What blinds us to what is supposedly right in front of us? To uncover that, we must move from history into mystery, from the world outside us to the world within. Imagine for a moment that you've lived your entire life inside a grand cathedral, but the lights were never turned on. You walk its halls, touch the cold stone, hear the echoes of your footsteps, but you never once see the stained glass windows blaze with color, never witness the intricate murals or the arches designed to make the human soul gasp. You live inside majesty, yet remain unaware of it. This is the image most mystics use, silently, symbolically, to describe the human condition. And it is exactly what saying 113 points to when it declares, "The kingdom is spread upon the earth, and men do not see it." Let's begin breaking down this idea. The kingdom in this context does not refer to a political realm, nor even a heavenly paradise reserved for the righteous. Instead, it points to a state of being, a field of consciousness woven through all existence. It is what some traditions call the divine ground, the source, the Tao, the unseen real, or the world beneath the world. To the ancient mystics, the physical world was not a distraction from spirit. It was the expression of spirit. Every tree, every human face, every gust of wind, every moment of silence, each was a manifestation of a deeper, living presence. They believed that to truly see the world was to recognize this hidden dimension shimmering behind the visible one. Why don't we see it? Because, they said, humanity is asleep. Not physically asleep, but psychically asleep. Distracted, conditioned, fragmented. From the moment we are born, we are trained to perceive only a sliver of reality. We're taught to see objects rather than essence, separation rather than unity, survival over awareness. We learn to label instead of observe, to judge instead of witness, to react instead of awaken. The Gospel of Thomas repeatedly uses the language of finding, recognizing, and waking. It suggests that the kingdom is not revealed through belief, but through perception, a shift in consciousness that allows one to see what has always been present. In fact, in another saying, Jesus says, "The kingdom is inside you, and it is outside you." A paradox, unless the kingdom is not a place, but a way of seeing. The mystics compared this shift to wiping dust from a mirror. The mirror, the soul, always had the ability to reflect the divine. It was simply obscured. When the dust is cleared, nothing new is added to the mirror. It simply reveals what was always there. Saying 113 hints at this same idea. The kingdom is not coming at a later time. It will not arrive with fanfare, cosmic fireworks, or celestial armies. It is already here, patiently woven into every moment you experience. But until you awaken the inner sight to perceive it, it remains invisible, like a cathedral sitting in darkness. There is another layer to this as well. The blindness is voluntary, not intentional, but habitual. Early initiates believed that most people cling to their illusions of separation, of identity, of control, because facing the true nature of reality requires a kind of inner death, a dissolution of the small self, a surrendering of the narrow perspective that makes us feel secure. Seeing the kingdom demands courage because it changes everything. If the divine permeates everything, then the world is not meaningless. If heaven is here, then the boundaries we draw between sacred and ordinary, human and divine, crumble. If the kingdom is spread upon the earth, then paradise is not a reward, but a recognition. And recognition, as simple as it sounds, is one of the rarest experiences in a distracted world. So how does one begin to see what is already here? What does awakening in this sense actually feel like? And why were these teachings framed in riddles, metaphors, and paradoxes? These questions pull us deeper into the core of saying 113. And to answer them, we must step into the heart of its hidden meaning. To grasp the deeper layers of saying 113, we must venture beyond metaphor and into the paradox at the heart of every mystical tradition. The world is simultaneously ordinary and divine. The divine is not elsewhere. It is veiled within the ordinary. This is where the teaching becomes truly challenging. Most people imagine spiritual awakening as some dramatic, otherworldly event, a burst of light, a holy visitation, a sudden escape from the mundane. But the ancient mystics understood the opposite. Enlightenment is not an escape from the world, but a penetration into it. It is the recognition that reality has depth, far beyond what the untrained eye perceives. Consider this. If the kingdom is truly spread upon the earth, then nothing is excluded. Not the marketplace, not the silence before dawn, not your daily routines, your conversations, your joys, your mistakes. Everything becomes part of the tapestry. This is a radical idea, far more demanding than the notion of a distant heaven. A distant heaven puts the sacred out of reach, safe, separate, uncontaminated. But a kingdom already present implies that every moment you live is infused with spiritual significance. It implies responsibility, awareness, presence. This may be one reason why such teachings became marginalized or misunderstood over time. A kingdom in the clouds is easier to manage. A kingdom in the heart of every moment, that's dangerous, transformative, unpredictable. Let's go deeper. Why is the kingdom invisible? In the esoteric traditions, the kingdom is described not as a physical place, but as a frequency, a mode of perception aligned with truth rather than illusion. It's like a radio station broadcasting constantly, but most people are tuned to a different channel. Their attention is scattered, their senses dulled by habit, their minds clouded by inherited beliefs. Mystics across cultures, Sufis, Kabbalists, Vedic sages, spoke of this same blindness. They called it ignorance, forgetfulness, Maya, sleep. Not a moral failing, but a perceptual one. To see the kingdom, they said, requires a shift comparable to waking from a dream. While dreaming, the dream seems coherent, logical, complete. But upon waking, you realize the dream was nothing more than a construct of your own mind. The material world, as we perceive it, is similar. It is real, yes, but not the whole story. It is the visible surface of a much deeper reality. Saying 113 doesn't deny the physical world. It reveals the dimension hidden within it. A hidden teaching in plain sight. There's an important detail in the structure of saying 113 itself. The disciples ask Jesus when the kingdom will come. He answers, "It will not come by waiting for it. Rather, the kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and men do not see it." This response dismantles the expectation of a future salvation. It rejects the idea of a cosmic timetable. Instead, it points the disciples inward, toward awareness, presence, perception. What's astonishing is that this same teaching appears across spiritual traditions, separated by geography and time. In Zen Buddhism, they say, this very place is the lotus land. In Sufism, wherever you turn is the face of God. In the Upanishads, the self is everywhere, shining through all things. These are not poetic statements. They are invitations to awaken. The paradox here lies the ultimate paradox of saying 113. The kingdom is fully present, yet invisible, accessible, yet missed, by nearly everyone imminent, yet overlooked. Why? Because people expect the divine to appear in grand, extraordinary ways. They look upward, outward, far away. Meanwhile, the sacred hides in the open, in the breath you're taking right now, in the sensations in your body, in the stillness between your thoughts. The kingdom does not need to descend. We need to ascend in awareness. But how do we do that? How do we train ourselves to perceive something that has been invisible for our entire lives? That is where the ancient traditions shift from philosophy to practice. If the kingdom is already here, spread across the earth, woven into every moment, then the true task is not to travel somewhere else, but to clear the perceptual fog that prevents us from recognizing it. Ancient teachers didn't expect seekers to grasp this truth intellectually. They understood that awakening is not an idea, it's an experience, and experiences can be cultivated. Below are powerful, time-tested practices drawn from the same traditions that preserved saying 113. They are simple, but not easy. Their purpose is to sharpen your awareness, dissolve the habits that keep you asleep, and help you step into the deeper reality hidden within the one you think you know one. The practice of stopping. The first step toward seeing the kingdom is stopping, literally. Every few hours, pause whatever you're doing. Don't change your breathing. Don't assume a posture. Just stop. Look around you. Feel the sensations in your body. Listen to the subtle sounds that normally drift past your awareness. This moment, raw, unfiltered, unjudged, is what mystics call the gate. The kingdom isn't in the future or the past. It reveals itself in the stillness beneath your thoughts, and stopping interrupts the trance of constant doing, allowing you to glance at the world as it truly is, rather than as your mind labels it. Do this often, even for 10 seconds at a time. You'll begin to notice how rarely you're actually present. 2. Seeing without naming. Most of us never truly see anything. The moment our eyes land on an object, the mind jumps in and labels tree, sky, stranger, phone, responsibility, problem. Labeling is not evil. It's useful for survival, but it blinds us to the living essence behind the forms. Choose one object each day, a leaf, a candle flame, the face of someone you love, and observe it without naming it, without forming a story about it. Just witness. At first, this feels strange, even uncomfortable, because you are removing the mental filter you've relied on for your entire life. But when the mind becomes quiet, something remarkable happens. the object begins to reveal its isness, its presence, its quiet radiance. This is the beginning of seeing the kingdom. 3. The inner observer. Exercise. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes. Let your thoughts do whatever they want. Race, drift, complain, wander. Instead of trying to control them, watch them. Notice that thoughts appear and disappear on their own. Notice that there is a deeper awareness observing them. That awareness is stable, unchanging, expansive. The mystics taught that this inner witnessing presence is the doorway to the kingdom. It's the part of you that is not asleep. When you root yourself in the observer rather than the thinker, your perception begins to shift. The world becomes more vivid, more alive, more interconnected. 4. A daily ritual of reverence. Before you sleep each night, choose one moment from your day, any moment, that you usually overlook. Washing your hands, waiting in line, pouring water, opening a door. Reflect on how that moment was not ordinary, but sacred, not symbolic, but real. This practice retrains your consciousness to stop dividing life into sacred and mundane. Once that division fades, the kingdom begins to shimmer through everything. 5. Facing the barriers. It's equally important to understand what obstructs your vision. The common obstacles include mental noise, constant internal chatter, emotional turbulence, reactivity, anxiety, resentment, identification with the ego, believing your thoughts define you, chronic distraction, never allowing stillness. Awakening begins when these habits loosen, even slightly. The kingdom does not demand perfection, only attention. The transformation. With consistent practice, something subtle but profound begins to unfold. Ordinary moments deepen. Beauty reveals itself in unexpected places. You feel more present, more connected, more alive. The world doesn't change, you do. And through this inner shift, the hidden dimension that has always surrounded you becomes gradually, unmistakably visible. If there is one truth echoed by mystics across time, it is this: reality is far more alive, more mysterious, and more sacred than we allow ourselves to perceive. Saying 113 of the Gospel of Thomas doesn't simply offer a spiritual insight. It delivers a challenge to question everything you assume about heaven, about the divine, and about your place in the world. It suggests that paradise is not a future reward, nor a distant realm, but an ever-present dimension, hidden in plain sight. The kingdom is here. It's in the sound of your breath, in the passing of strangers on the street, in sunlight on a wall, in laughter, in silence, in pain, in uncertainty. It is everywhere, quietly waiting for your awareness to deepen enough to perceive it. And this changes the entire spiritual landscape. It means you are not separate from the divine. You are immersed in it. It means you do not need to chase enlightenment. You need only to remember what your senses have forgotten. It means the sacred is not rare, it's constant. The veil between the ordinary and the divine is not physical, it is perceptual. And when you lift it, even a single inch, the world begins to transform. Not because it has changed, but because you have awakened to the depth that was always there. So let this teaching follow you into your day. Let it work on you. Let it whisper beneath your thoughts, like an ancient echo. The kingdom is spread upon the earth, and you are walking through it. If this exploration stirred something in you, curiosity, recognition, or even a faint sense of remembering, consider diving deeper. Share your reflections in the comments. Engage with others who walk this path, and most importantly, continue the inner work. Continue the waking, continue the seeing.